to our first weekly segment. First, we're going to do a short Q&A, then take a look at today's news from the Ukraine war, and finally, a look at the general state of the world over this week. Our first question for this week, presumably in response to yesterday's post, is what is annexation? And basically, it's a fancy term for a land grab. To annex a part of a country or an entire country is just to take that part of the country and add it to your own country. It's what Putin did in Crimea in 2014. It's also what Germany did to Austria in 1938. And our second question is, I saw something on the news about a bunch of world leaders and ambassadors signing a paper with the UN telling Putin to stop causing trouble, and it seems like nothing more than a performance to assure the public that we don't like the war. But there has to be some significance to the signing beyond that, right? What's your opinion on this thing? So yeah, that happened yesterday. The United Nations Security Council voted on a resolution to condemn the annexation referendums in Ukraine. Most countries on it voted in favor. Russia vetoed it. India and China, along with a few others, abstained. I think that the main purpose of the of the Security Council vote was to force India and China, who have been continuing to try and stay mostly neutral, to come out and make their position on it clear, or at least say, no, we're not touching this, we don't want to look at it. And especially in the case of China, who is Russia's most powerful, at least somewhat ally, they can't support the referendums in Ukraine without undermining the legitimacy of their own claims to Taiwan. So they've been forced to stand apart from their ally, and they've been given an opportunity to support Russia publicly, and they've been forced to say, no, we don't support you. We don't condemn you either, but we don't support you. And I think that was probably the main reason for this vote in the UN. Other than, there's definitely a performative aspect to it of saying, look, we're against this, we don't like this, and we're going to keep yelling about it until either it stops or something changes. And now that we've finished up with that Q&A section, we're going to look at today's news from Ukraine. The main thing that we've seen today, and probably the most interesting, is we saw a big fire at the Belbek airport in Sevastopol, which is the capital city of Russian-occupied Crimea. Now, I don't want to comment too much on this, because we don't actually have a lot of solid information yet, but the reports are suggesting that the Russian forces have been withdrawing from the city of Lyman, which we've been talking about over the last couple of days. It's been slowly encircled, and they've been trying to withdraw, and it looks like so far it has been a horrible disaster for Russians. Anecdotal evidence suggests a huge slaughter as they were trying to retreat, hundreds, maybe even thousands, because the estimates for the number of troops encircled there was between 2,000 and 5,000. And I don't want to comment too much on this because we don't know everything yet, but it looks like that was a huge catastrophe, and it looks like the Ukrainian forces are now in control of the city, which was part of the Donetsk area that was supposedly annexed into Russia yesterday. Ukrainian military also claims to have repelled Russian attacks across the Donetsk region. But other than that, it's been a pretty slow news day in regards to Ukraine, so I believe that is it for today on that. So let us move on to our discussion of the world this week. So I think it makes sense to keep going on Ukraine and cover that first. This week has seen a huge disaster for Russia. There seems to have been little to no success for them, and they've been losing repeatedly in the regions that they have attempted to annex. So their progress there has actually been negative, and they've been attempting to annex territory that they don't actually control. They're controlling less of it every day. So that is not going well. The protests in Iran are continuing. Unfortunately, I don't think that they're actually likely to achieve anything significant, but watch and see. It's impossible to speak with certainty at this point, and I would like to be wrong in this situation. West African nation Burkina Faso has also just seen their previous military junta overthrown by a new military junta. Remains to be seen how that's going to develop. Turkey has suspended the use of the Mir payment system, which is a Russian system, from 3 of its state banks. Syria is also looking at a cholera outbreak right now, with current estimates of around 6,000 infected. We're also looking at a significant weakening of China's currency, the yuan, to its lowest levels since 2008 financial crisis, and it's projected by the end of the year to be the weakest that the currency has been since 1994. Currently, the yuan is at 7.2409 for every $1, and it is expected to get worse before the end of the year. And I believe that will be concluding our first weekly segment. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.